Hi guys. Okay, I'm live. So, wanted to make a special announcement, some breaking news. Listeners and viewers of the Katie Halper Show may know that there's something called the Katie Halper Show bump. And that is when, by virtue of coming on the Katie Halper Show, a candidate wins an election or gets a major endorsement or a push. So some past examples of Katie Halper Show bumps include Larry Krasner coming on the show, which clearly was the reason he was elected Philly DA. Also, Chesa Boudin, who became the San Francisco DA, clearly because of his appearance on my show. Tiffany Caban almost won, and I think maybe she probably won legally, technically anyway, but they cheated because that's Melinda Katz, who's such a weird person. And also, by the way, like, I know we're not supposed to relationship shame, but it's a little weird that she had kids with Curtis Sliwa, the guy from the Guardian Angels, which is like this old school kind of 1980s broken windows vigilante squad. So Caban probably did win, but she didn't technically win. And I've always thought that had she come onto the show earlier, that she maybe would have won a decisive victory. Oh, hi, Roberto from Mexico. Thank you. Hi, Sol. I don't know if I should say Roberto or Roberto. I don't know. One is like, they're both cringeworthy in different ways coming from me. Anyway, so I'm trying to think of other Katie Halper Show bumps. Oh, right. So Nando Villa came on to basically make reparations, ironically enough, for an interview that was presented as a gotcha of Bernie Sanders on reparations. And after that happened, you know what happened? Two things happened. Two instances of the Katie Halper Show bump occurred. One is that the UN passed something on reparations. And the other thing that's pretty cool is that Ta-Nehisi Coates, who wrote a very critical piece on Sanders' position on reparations, with which I disagree slightly, but also, to be fair to Ta-Nehisi Coates, hi from Canada, hi everyone, I'll say hi to you at the end of this or in a little bit. To be fair to Ta-Nehisi Coates, the very premise of his piece was that Sanders is so much better than Clinton on so many issues, and so he should be as good on racial justice as he is on economic justice. Of course, when like MSNBC and everyone picked that up, the premise was Sanders doesn't support reparations, and the implication was other people did. Anyway, the point is when Nando Villa came on the show to atone and pay reparations for his own interview with Bernie Sanders that led to the reparations fiasco, shortly after then, Ta-Nehisi Coates announced that he was voting for Bernie Sanders. So all I'm saying is there are a bunch of Katie Halper Show bumps that have happened in the past. AOC also came on my show. I think basically we can't dispute the evidence. It's overwhelming evidence that coming on the show gets you either elected or some kind of important endorsement. So what happens the other day? I'll tell you what happens. I don't know if you guys saw, but the other day I had a really great interview with two people, including Samelys López. And let me just put that in here in case you missed it. And Samelys López is running for Congress. I had her on with Assad Haider, who's another great guest. I'll just put this link in right here. Okay. Now what happens, guys? I'm going to tell you what happens. Ready? Breaking news from today. Boom. Catherine, they call me Catherine because that's my name, I guess, on their email list or whatever. Catherine, we have some incredible news. Bernie Sanders just endorsed Samelys for Congress. And again, I think we can all agree that this is the result of the Katie Halper Show bump. Bernie Sanders, the leader of the working class revolution, has endorsed the true working class candidate in the South Bronx, Samelys López. Like so many young people around this country, Samelys was inspired by Bernie Sanders to fight for progressive priorities in her home of the South Bronx. We've got exactly 2 weeks left until Election Day and momentum on our side. Samelys is the real progressive in this race, and with your support, we can win on June 23rd. Catherine, join Bernie Sanders in supporting Samelys' campaign by contributing any amount that you can afford. Your contribution will help us reach voters all across the district over the next 2 weeks. And what's cool is that if you don't, so she's also been endorsed by AOC. And there are other people that if you support her, look what happens. Let's see. No, that's not it. Well, anyway, there are other people that I think that she's like splitting her donations with. I probably should have had this all teed up, but I don't. Let's see. No? All right. Anyway, Bernie endorsed a bunch of really good people, including Samelys. Also, he endorsed Cori Bush. To be fair, I think they had already endorsed each other before she came on the show. But again, that helped her maintain her status. Oh yeah, thank you, Emberg, for pointing this out, which is that establishment media never gives Katie credit, but we do. Thank you very much. Also, anything else you guys want me to discuss? I know this isn't one of my regularly scheduled live streams, but thought maybe if people have any questions. I did have a kind of thought about something that happened today, which I want to share. Let me just go to this thing. 1 second. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is a good one, I think. Let me go back to the yard. I'm gonna get to okay, 1 second. Yes, I know he endorsed Joe Biden. It was a lapse in judgment. It was a judgment lapse. We're gonna try to get not think about that very much. I didn't watch the funeral services today yet, so I don't want to comment, but I will comment on for George Floyd, which I'm going to watch. But I will comment on this, which is that, you know, I really get annoyed by people who pretend to be the adults in the room and pretend that they know what's utopian and pretend that they know what's like viable or not viable, and that all the people making demands like, I don't know, like, you know, that the police need to be disbanded, that those people are like radical and out of touch and, you know, living in a fantasy utopia and are white privileged and are like anarchists or just watching some, you know, watching like woke, radical academic stuff. And so I was pretty pleased to see this. And as I said in this tweet, of course, Cuomo, and here's the news, ready? New York, here, I can play it. Hold on. This is, all right, let's see. Let me share it again so I can play the noise. Hold on. Share audio. Okay, share. Now, watch this.
Transition. Look, mayors run their local police departments. I think this is a wake-up call, or not a wake-up call. This is a transformation moment across the country. People are saying it has to stop. We have to change, right? When they're saying defund the police, what are they saying? They're saying we want fundamental, basic change when it comes to policing. And they're right. They are right.
We'll just watch the beginning again.
Look, mayors run their local police departments. I think this is a wake-up call.
Not a make-up call.
This is a transition.
Anyway, I like the way, not a wake-up call. That was kind of funny. But anyway, so here's my little comment on that, okay? As I did comment on Twitter, I hope this isn't too like self-referential, but so Cuomo says, am I still showing this? Yes, okay. So Cuomo says, when they're saying defund the police, what are they saying? They're saying we want fundamental basic change when it comes to policing, and they're right. Okay, now, as I made very clear, of course, Cuomo, because you can also watch another interview I did that's on my YouTube channel where I interview Ava Farkas about this, and we talk about what a fiscal conservative Cuomo is and how much he passes an austerity budget, how committed he is to an austerity budget, and also how I talked to David Sirota about this, how basically Cuomo gave nursing home and hospital corporations immunity so that they won't get in trouble for basically being negligent, which will let people die, and is especially relevant now during COVID. And of course, that's a racial justice issue also. So here's the thing. Cuomo, I have no illusions about him. The guy is not a progressive. He will do everything he can to try to hide behind, like he did with the IDC, the Independent Democratic Caucus, which was basically a reactionary like caucus of Democrats who didn't function as Democrats, and he pointed to them as why he couldn't pass any progressive legislation. So the point is, of course, that's totally like Cuomo would be happy to be as symbolic with this stuff as the Democrats were with their African garb. That's not the point. But the point is, we talked about this a little with Assad and Samelys, which is the role of discourse and the role of making demands that are outside of the mainstream or inside of the mainstream, and how you want to make demands that push them, but you also want to articulate them in a way that makes them palatable. And this is an example. This is something that definitely before the last few weeks, I don't think anyone would have predicted that Cuomo would have, even rhetorically, okay, and I'm saying this, even rhetorically, again, we know that he's not going to get on board with this, but the fact that this is now rhetorically acceptable or demanded, or that it's politically viable, and that it's actually not politically viable to oppose the defunding the police, at least on a rhetorical level, is proof that these people who pretend to be the adults in the room and who pretend that we're a bunch of like, you know, delusional, utopian, out of touch grad students, radical, you know, cultural criticism, PhD students, or whatever, white anarchists, or self-indulgent, I don't know what, fragile white people or fragile people of color. Hold on one second, Ember. This is, I think, is a big, good, like, fuck you to those people. And of course, he's not going to try to, of course, he's going to kick the can down the line to the mayors and not governors. But again, the fact is that saying, this is my point, just merely saying that it makes sense to defund the police is huge. And I know it's going to be co-opted. You don't have to tell me that, but it is a turning point, I think. And again, it's proof. Like, we saw this, and again, I talked about this with Assad yesterday, 2 nights ago. We saw this with Sanders, which was that, like, things that used to be considered outside the mainstream are mainstream now, and that we make them mainstream by demanding them. And now, of course, it's a lot easier when you have something like Medicare for all, because that's like a positive, that's a creation of something. And of course, it's extremely popular to have single payer, even though it depends on how you ask the question, which is always true. But this is a little bit more disruptive, and even this is now being kind of allowed into the mainstream. So I just want to do that. So again, 2 major takeaways. Yeah, this is good. Good point. 2 major takeaways. So 1, Garden Gnome, this is not a it's a takeaway. It's not the ones I was planning on talking about, but good point. Yes, they will try playing shell games, but I agree the window has moved regarding what is acceptable rhetoric. Exactly, which is important. It's an important first step. And then we have to become vigilant on another level and make sure that they're not just being rhetorical. But again, that is a sign of something shifting. And so that's a good thing. And I have a lot of satisfaction imagining all the people who roll their eyes and pretend to be, you know, the reasonable people, the reasonable adults in the room, laughing at us. Or, I mean, to be fair, laughing at people demanding defunding the police. Yeah. And I'm going to have on this week, I'm trying to get Alex Vitaly on the show at some point soon. I'll let you know about that. He wrote The End of Policing. But I'm going to have Christian Parenti on, which is exciting. I don't know if you guys know him. But he's great. And yeah, just encouraging everyone. Thanks for coming by. Just did a live little thing, and support Samelys. And yeah, she's great. And yes, this is true. Yes, this is true. He's been disingenuous, but it doesn't actually matter. Lots of libs are listening to Cuomo right now after his COVID pressers made him a resistance hero, so it might move the needle a little. Yeah, I think there are 2 things. I think it's not just that it's moving the needle. I think it does, but it's also representing that the needle is moving. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's a bit chicken and egg. Like, I think it represents a shift, and it also will contribute to a shift. And it's true. Liberals love him, and they think he's like, again, it's just basically because, as we said with as I've said with Matt Taibbi a lot, and with Ava, that you know, if you are somewhat fact-based and you don't suggest that people put bleach into their veins or drink bleach, it's very easy to look like a very calming presence when you're not Donald Trump. But of course, he's very competent. He's a very good administrator, and he does terrible things. So anyway, let's see what other comments there were. Live stream gang. Yes, indeed. Please have Assad on more. Yeah, maybe should we have a weekly weekly lesson with Assad? I really like him. I agree it is a good sign, but some of the proposed alternatives are sketchy, such as privatization. Sure, I agree, and we have to be skeptical and vigilant. That was true. Completely agree. Were you scared of the protesters? Me? No, but I haven't been in New York City, so the protesters where I'm at there have been some protests where I'm at that are like very kind of hippy dippy. But I'm actually going to have someone on, I think, who was at them. Anyway, you'll see that later. It's difficult to see behind the curtain to determine when politicians are just looking for sound bites. Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't even think it's difficult. He is just looking for sound bites. Like, there's no question. But then we get to take that rhetoric and hold him to it, or fail at holding him to it. But it's at least a step. And again, it's a sign of victory. And I think the reason I think it's important to mention this is again, because these smug people who scoff at these proposals as outside of the mainstream are wrong. Now they're going to keep doubling down on this because that's their way they do it. Okay, let's see. My proposed alternative are social workers. Agree. Katie, why aren't you wearing a kente cloth? Oh, because I'm washing mine. I wore it so much yesterday that I had to wash it today, so I'll be in it soon. Assad was fire. Defund the police. History with hater. Haters, history, haters, right? Sure, I have Assad on more if his liver can handle it. Well said. Anyway, so yeah, if anyone has any suggestions, of course, I'm inviting you all to support me on Patreon, which is patreon.com/The Katie Halper Show, but also make sure that you, donate to good progressive politicians if you believe in electoral politics. And look at that. Get it. Let's see. Are you concerned that liberals, capitalists will co-opt, defund the police, and turn into something like private prison? Yeah, I am, and that's something I'll talk to like Alex Vitaly about with Alex Vitaly. I'm not promising him for this week, but I'm promising him for some point in the future. And if he doesn't come on, we're going to have to be like, oh wow, Alex Vitaly leaves the Katie Halper Show in the dust after getting, you know what he got, guys? Why do you think his book is so popular? Big part of it, someone write in the comments. So I know you've learned. Anyone? One of the reasons that Alex Vitaly's book is doing so well? Thank you, Gardner. The Katie Halper Show bump, yes. I realize that could sound very insensitive, but I wasn't referring to doing well now recently around the death of George Floyd. I was making a more general statement that was less, you know what I mean. Okay. Actually, yeah, I do have two really good episodes with him. So I'll be bringing him back on that Katie Halper Show bump. Exactly. Where is it? Oh yeah, you can, yes, watch this here. I don't know if that shows up. Yeah, watch it, share it. I'll be having some little clips. I got, yeah, a bunch of little clips. Oh, you look at this. You see, I learned about Vitaly from your show. You know what that is? The bump. Guys, don't cancel Vitaly yet. Give him like a couple of hours to get back to my email. And you know what? I'm going to be generous. I'll give him a day. And if he doesn't get back to that, then we're all in on Vitaly. Alex, if you're watching this, you've been warned. So when he comes on, this is like what we did on Useful Idiots with the Yang Gang, when I had to threaten Andrew Yang, the Yang Gang I had to threaten them. I had to call them out for being cowards, because they are obviously cowards. Because if they weren't cowards, they would have gotten him to come on the show, because they wanted him to go on the show. We said, yeah, we'd love it. And then Andrew Yang didn't appear, which just showed us how powerless the Yang Gang was. But then I called them out on it. And I threatened to become a circumcision advocate, which of course Andrew Yang did not like, because he's an anti-circumcision advocate. I asked him about this on the show, and Matt got really upset and embarrassed and didn't remember why I was bringing it up. Anyway, that's what we're going to do with Alex Vitaly, although I think I like Alex Vitaly's politics a lot more than Andrew Yang's. Okay, Lisa Savage, link to Lisa Savage. I'd love to have Michelle Alexander on too. Oh, Lisa Savage is running for office in Maine. Okay, yeah, I'll look into that. I want to have Jamal Bowman on also. There's some interesting stuff with him. He is a circumcision advocate. I think they're called like tactilist or tactilist. You think I'm very underappreciated by Matt? I think we have a good rapport. Sometimes it's hard to keep up with Katie Halper with the puns. I know some people are not really into the puns. I can't help it. We're having Lisa Savage from Maine. Cool. Yeah, I will look into her. We're having Shahid, an activist. Is that what it's called? Here's my stance on circumcision. It started out as a health thing for sure. It's like the only thing in the world that doesn't so many religious rituals and rules favor men. Obviously, there was a major incentive to encourage men to cut off their foreskins. And it wasn't some religious, wasn't your normal religious stuff, is my point. Because I remember getting into a fight with a friend who was like, no, it's just a little bit of it's just religious circumcision. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of religious oh my God, I can't believe I said that. There's a lot of religious superstition, but religious superstition does not usually result in men doing anything inconvenient, least of all cutting parts of their foreskin off. So to me, that's a major sign that it started out as a health thing. It's interesting the Christians didn't adopt it, though. It was just like Jew, skipped over Christians, then went to Muslims. But, and it's certainly during World War I, there was a lot of data showing how, unhealthy it was to be in the trenches while being uncircumcised, trenched while uncircumcised, TWU. But, and on a global level, it also, I think, on a global level, hold on, pause that question. On a global, okay, pause, guys. On a global level, there is, circumcisions help prevent the spread of STIs and stuff. But on a global level, I don't know if I would do that to I don't know. I don't have a kid. If I did, I don't know if I would. I mean, I have relatives who have kids and they haven't done that to their kids. And I certainly would not do it for religious, cultural reasons. But I know that people who are circumcised don't just do it because of religious reasons. In fact, it used to be the norm. I don't know what it is now anymore. It used to just be Jewish, then it became not just Jewish, just the tip. Sorry, I had to use that. Also, shout out to Barry Weiss for saying that, shout out to Barry Weiss for, remember when she compared Jews who support BDS to people who in the olden days used to reverse their circumcision? Oh my God. Okay, what else? CDC recommends circumcision, but for everyone? Because my understanding was that it's like in certain countries they recommend it. I didn't think they recommended it everywhere. Got it. Got that. Yeah, I do fight with my friends about, well, I used to have this show called Morning Jew with Heather Gold, and we talked about it, about that. It was tradition and kills a lot of nerves. I know it's tradition. The only debate was where the tradition came from. And I don't think, but I got to say, no matter what you think of circumcision, that whole calling it female circumcision is the worst term, because whatever you think about circumcision, it's not comparable at all to genital mutilation. I think and hope we can all agree, because it's not. It seems there are opposing views on health benefits of circumcision. I haven't looked into it, lol. Yeah, I couldn't believe that Barry Weiss thing. Anyway, how do you respond to a thing? Can you respond to something? No, I just see you can block. Anyway. Do you guys remember that Barry Weiss thing? Anyway, so anything else? I guess I can start doing maybe more frequent half-hour live streams with breaking news, or maybe you guys can show me like the worst tweets and I can comment on them. I'm looking at someone, typical Trumper. I don't know who that is. Yeah, let me know. I was called a bad Jew months ago on saying Jews don't equal Israel. No, actually, yeah, that's an important thing, because Oh, you phased me. Hold on one second. I was called a bad Jew months ago on saying Jews don't equal Israel. No, that's true. In fact, it's anti-Semitic to equate Jews with Israel. That's a trope. Now, hamster, why are you even labeling yourself as a Jew? Jew is just a snapshot in time. Before that, you were just human. That's actually not true, hamster. And I like the way your name is hamster. You have a very cute avatar, but it's kind of ironic because we're talking about Jewishness and what's kosher and what's treif. Now, I'm not kosher. I'm a godless Jew in the tradition of Sigmund Freud. But the whole thing about Jewish identity being a choice is kind of new. Like my mom's generation, you know, because her name was Eisenberg, it's not like she identified as a Jew. I mean, she did. But she didn't have to have like Irish Catholic school kids throw rocks at her and her brother because they just knew that they were Jews. I think like people don't really get it. And I'm not comparing that to like anti-Black racism before anyone even goes there. I think that should go without saying, but I'm just saying it because some people annoyingly, I think, equate any acknowledgement of anti-Semitism with equating it with other things. But because Jews didn't proselytize, that makes the Jewish world a lot smaller than the Christian world or the Muslim world, right? So like there are certain there are certain DNA things that Jews share, not all of them. And there's of course two branches. There's Ashkenazi, which are the Eastern European, and there's Sephardic, which is Middle Eastern and Iberian. But, you know, for instance, Tay-Sachs is a disease that's basically restricted to Ashkenazi Jews. So the whole thing about Jewish identity, it's not just like a way of being, or it's like for people used to know when you were Jewish, and they used to do things to you based on that. Like, you know, actually Christian Parenti, who I'm having on this week, talks about how pogroms were debt liquidation. Really interesting stuff. Have Norman Finkelstein on. I will definitely do that. Have Norm Finkelstein on. I've had him on before and I want to have him on again. That's a great idea. He's so great. Are any good books you recommend on Jewish identity? Irving Howe, World of Our Fathers. I want to write one of them, actually. I'm going to write one. You guys have inspired me. What else can I made a documentary I'm releasing for real. I'm going to release it within a month. And that talks a lot about the Jewish identity of which I'm part. Also wrote an essay on it. In something that like, it was a bunch of atheists on their Jewish identity, and Alan Dershowitz was in it too. So I have the honor of being published below or above him. Oh God, the Trump tweet about the 75-year-old. I thought Jeremy Scahill had a good tweet on this, because we don't want to bring like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I have had Jeffrey Halper, no relation, on the show. One second. I was going to show you guys, what was I looking at? Oh yeah, I thought this was a good Jeremy Scahill tweet, because we have to be careful not to fall into the trap of like acceptable protesters or respectability, you know, politics. Where is that? Jeremy Scahill. Yeah. This, I think, sums it up quite nicely. Let me go back to my live stream. Stop by, share screen, home tab. Okay. So, as people probably saw, Trump had this interesting take on the protester who was pushed over and who fell and cracked, you know, he bled out from his skull. He didn't bleed out, he bled. And so Trump said Buffalo protesters shoved by police could be an Antifa provocateur. 75-year-old Martin Gugino was pushed away after appearing to scam police communications in order to black out the equipment. OAN, I watched. He fell harder than was pushed. Was aiming scanner. Could be a setup. And Jeremy responds, no one should be assaulted by the police in this way, but for the record, the 75-year-old is a pacifist Catholic worker who dedicated his life to nonviolence, serving the poor, living the Sermon on the Mount, and fighting for justice in the spirit of Dorothy Day and Peter Maurin. I mean, Jeremy, please tell me I was sharing that. Okay, phew. I don't know. I hope you're saying down, Jeremy. I don't think he knows who Dorothy Day is, but of course, that's a very important point to make. Maybe he was. Where is that? I will have that. Yeah. Okay, I'll have Assad on to talk about abolition. Oh, this is like an old school stupid thing. No one is Jewish unless they have a Jewish mother. No, that's only for Orthodox Jews. And here's my rule. If you're Jewish enough for Hitler, you're a Jew. And I kind of stole that from, well, I used to say that before, but Judah Friedlander has a great joke on that where he talks about how, because Judah Friedlander's mom is not Jewish, his dad is, and he talks about how badly you're treated when people find out your mom isn't Jewish. He's like, when they find out you're not Jewish, it's like you murdered their dog. But, you know, I went to the Holocaust Museum and I saw that for Nazis, being Jewish meant having one Jewish grandparent on either side. So in some ways, Hitler is more accepting of Jews than other Jews are, which is pretty funny. But I do believe that if you were, because for better or for worse, a lot of Jewish identity for lots of people is about anti-Semitism. And I don't think that that's like bad. That's not accepting that. It just used to define your life a lot. And, you know, for a couple millennia, pogroms do things to you, I think. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so Kyle needs to talk to Haddad about abolition. I assume you mean Assad, not Haddad, the Brazilian candidate who lost to Bolsonaro. No, Jeff Halper is not related to me that I know of, but he's great, and I've had him on a few episodes. I'm not playing into that. What else? Of course, he was obviously shoved. I don't think anyone. Sorry, was I supposed to say I disagree with Trump's take? Let's see. Dems rushing to get Bush's endorsement for Biden, including some Sanders supporters, is kind of willing ignorance of history. Yeah. I mean, yeah, this is all a mess, and I don't know. Anyway, so anything else you guys want to know about? Talk about? Remember that Bonnie Raitt song? Let's give them something to talk about. It's good. Looking for other. Oh, another guy I want to give a shout out to who also got that sweet Katie Halper Show bump, guys. And you know what I love about this so much is that it's not just a Katie Halper Show bump. It's like a double Katie Halper Show bump. It's like Katie Halper Show bump paid forward because AOC got her own Katie Halper Show bump, which is why she's now in Congress. And then what does she do? She pays it forward by endorsing other people. So Jabari, he's great. So I had him on the show. He got the very coveted, you know what? The bump reverberates indeed, diet tuna. And then, yeah, so that's exciting. I had him on a show with Khader, who was running for, what was he called? The Radical Cleric. So yeah, so very exciting that AOC endorsed him. Yeah, definitely follow him. And here's who she endorsed. In fact, I have to have Jamal Bowman on. Hold on. Let's see who she endorsed. Okay, is this showing still? No, let me show that. Okay. So for, here are her endorsements. For State Senate, Michael Gianaris, Jessica Ramos, Julia Salazar, also a friend of the show, also got that Katie Halper Show bump. Jabari Brisport, friend of the show, Katie Halper bump. Robert Jackson, Gustavo Rivera, also Katie Halper Show bump. And then for Congress, again, Samelys López, Jamal Bowman, Mondaire Jones. So you can get these endorsements sometimes without the Katie Halper Show bump, but it's a lot more of an uphill battle. And then for Assembly, Catalina Cruz, Ron Kim, who I want to have on the show, Marcela Mitainis, Farah Souffrant, Yulene Yu, Natalia Fernandez, and Karina Reyes. So, guys, wow, gotta get some more people on. Just too much. It's too unfair to not share this. Let's see. Where was I? No, you don't have to have a Jewish mother. Only certain religious people have to. It died. That's weird. Yeah, I would like to have on Stephanie Kelton to talk about MMT and her book that came out. I'd also like to have on Richard Wolff. Oh, cool. Let's see. We got some German love. Sending all my love from Cologne, Germany, Katie. I'm a huge fan, and I love everything you and Matt are doing. Thank you for everything. Thanks. How do you say that? A dank? Dankeschön? A dank is Yiddish, I think. This is an interesting thing. We are the rats in the garbage of the Western world. Okay, enjoy the rest of the day. I'm cooking a damn eggplant. I need to tend to it. Yeah, you guys got to tend to your eggplants. You got to eggplant responsibly. Don't want any burnt eggplants like that. That would make me feel very guilty. I definitely don't endorse that. Can't have that. The Katie Halper Show's conscience. I'm a Christmas tree Jew myself. Okay, so can you talk about how AOC just co-opted the Green New Deal? I'm going to have Christian Parenti talk about the Green New Deal. I'm also have to look into the Democratic thing. Okay, great. I got a marriage offer from Canada. It's funny. I have a Canadian ex, but he's real. Eggplant responsibly, indeed. Danka is right. Get Kyle on Useful Idiots. We will. I would love to have Elliot Engel on the show so we can watch you drop his ass like he's 10 random bowling pins and you're a 3-time world championship bowler with your favorite ball. Yeah, that would be good. It would definitely be an exercise in suspension of disbelief because I'm terrible at bowling. All right, I think that's it. Let's see. Anything else I need to say? Thursday, come down to the pod. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and get updates. I think that's it. And yeah. See you Thursday night at 9 p.m. and then Sunday night at 9 p.m. Okay, and make sure you support the Patreon, even if it's just for $1. A bunch of people give $1. It helps the show go forward. And thank you for that. Punam, that's Yiddish for face. And I've had 0 imaginary Canadians. Do you think I'd make up a Canadian boyfriend? If I wanted to make up a boyfriend, I would have said he lived in, like, I don't know, California, because then it doesn't fall into that trope, but he's just as far away. Yeah. And okay. I will see you guys next time. See you on Thursday at 9 p.m. Oh, here, let me give you some homework, an assignment. Not homework, if you want to look at Christian Parenti's latest stuff. And don't mention Christian Parenti's dad, because I think it's kind of hard to be the son of Christian Parenti, of Michael Parenti, I mean. Hold on. Let's see what he's written lately. Have you ever noticed that, like, Jacobin never publishes their dates? The dates that of their articles is kind of annoying. I'm looking for, let's see, impeachment. Oh, this is good. I actually interviewed. This is old, but it's just an example of Christian. And Christian doesn't tweet, so it's the best I can do. This I actually interviewed him about. Let me just open this thing up. I have to. Let's see. Can you see that now? Here's a piece that Christian wrote. Wait, I got to take off the how many imaginary thing. Anyway, whatever. He's written some more recent stuff. You can find him there, but he's great. He's written a bunch of books. He's writing a book on Hamilton. So yeah, okay. See you guys Thursday night. Bye.